You know what's strange? The richest country in the world is also one of the most exhausted. Americans are tired. Not I didn't sleep well last night tired. I'm talking about bone deep, soul level tired. The kind of tired that coffee can't fix. The kind of tired where Sunday night already feels heavy because Monday is coming. And yet, they keep working. Longer hours. More side hustles. Fewer breaks. Even when their bodies are begging them to stop. So the real question isn't why are Americans tired? The real question is, why do Americans keep working even when they're completely drained? Think about this for a second. How many people do you know who brag about being busy? How often do you hear someone say, I haven't taken a vacation in years, like it's a badge of honor? When did exhaustion become proof of success? Somewhere along the way in American culture, rest stopped meaning recovery and started meaning weakness. And most people don't even realize when they cross that line. Here's the problem no one likes to admit. Americans don't just work hard because they want to. They work hard because they're afraid. Afraid of falling behind. Afraid of being replaced. Afraid that one missed paycheck could collapse their entire life. When your rent, health care, insurance, loans, and groceries all depend on showing up every single day. Tired or not, rest starts to feel dangerous. Not relaxing, dangerous. Ask yourself this honestly. If you stopped working for just 1 month, what would happen? Would your bills wait? Would your employer understand? Would your health care still be there? For millions of Americans, the answer is no. And when survival is tied directly to productivity, burnout isn't a possibility, it's guaranteed. The American system quietly teaches people something from a very young age. Your value comes from what you produce. In school, you're rewarded for perfect attendance. In college, you're praised for all-nighters. At work, you're promoted for staying late. Over time, people stop asking, is this healthy? And start asking, is this enough? Enough hours, enough effort, enough sacrifice. And no matter how much they give, it never feels like enough. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Americans don't just work long hours, they work with guilt. Guilt for taking breaks, guilt for using vacation days, guilt for saying no. Have you ever noticed how someone in the US will apologize before taking time off? Sorry, I know this is a bad time. Why should rest ever need an apology? And yet, it does. Compare that to many other countries, and the difference is shocking. In places like Germany, France, or the Netherlands, work is something you do, not who you are. People take weeks off without fear. Stores close early. Emails stop after office hours. Vacations are not negotiable. They're expected. In some countries, it's illegal for employers to contact workers after work hours. Imagine that. Illegal. Now ask yourself another question. Are people in those countries lazy? Or are they just not exhausted? Because here's the truth that surprises a lot of Americans. Many of these countries are just as productive, sometimes even more productive than the US. They simply don't confuse overworking with effectiveness. They understand something Americans were never taught. Working more hours doesn't mean producing better results. In Japan, there's a word called karoshi, which literally means death from overwork. That word exists because people work themselves to the point of collapse. But here's the uncomfortable truth. America is quietly moving in the same direction, just without naming it. Stress-related illnesses, anxiety, depression, heart disease, burnout, these aren't personal failures. They're system outcomes. Let's talk about money for a moment, because this is where everything connects. In the US, wages haven't grown at the same pace as living costs. Housing, healthcare, education, all skyrocketing. So what do people do when one job isn't enough? They take 2 or 3. Side hustles become survival strategies. And then those hustles get romanticized. Grind culture, hustle, harder, sleep when you're dead. But no one talks about what that lifestyle actually costs. It costs time with family. It costs mental health. It costs physical health. It costs relationships. And eventually, it costs joy. How many people are working nonstop just to afford a life they're too tired to enjoy? Let me paint you a real picture. Imagine someone named Mike. He's in his early 30s, works a full-time job during the day, drives for a rideshare app at night. On weekends, he does freelance work. On paper, he's ambitious. In reality, he's exhausted. He hasn't taken a real vacation in years. He eats fast food because he doesn't have time to cook. His sleep is broken. His phone is always buzzing. And every time he thinks about slowing down, fear kicks in. What if something goes wrong? What if he gets sick? What if he loses his job? Now ask yourself, is Mike lazy or is he trapped? This is where the American mindset becomes both powerful and dangerous. Americans are taught that hard work solves everything, and sometimes it does. But when hard work is applied to a broken system, all it does is break the worker. People start blaming themselves for being tired instead of questioning why they're forced to live this way in the first place. Another reason Americans work so much is identity. When someone in the US meets you for the first time, what's one of the first questions they ask? So, what do you do? Not how are you? Not what do you enjoy? Your job becomes your introduction. Lose your job, and suddenly you don't just lose income, you lose identity. That's a terrifying thought. So people cling to work, even when it's destroying them. And let's talk about vacations, or the lack of them. The US has no federally mandated paid vacation. None. Zero. Compare that to Europe, where 4 to 6 weeks is normal. In America, taking time off often depends entirely on how generous your employer feels. And even when people do get vacation days, many don't use them. Why? Because they're scared. Scared of coming back to a mountain of work. Scared of being seen as replaceable. Scared someone else will step up while they step away. Have you ever checked your email while on vacation? Be honest, that's not rest. That's work in disguise. Now here's the part most people don't like hearing. Americans aren't just victims of the system, they also defend it. Hustle culture is deeply emotional. It promises control. It promises success. It whispers, if you just work harder, you'll make it. And for some people, that does happen. But for millions, the finish line keeps moving. They run faster, work longer, sacrifice more, and still feel stuck. So what's the lesson here? Is the answer to stop working? No. Work has value. Purpose matters. Achievement feels good. The real lesson is about balance and awareness. About understanding that rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's part of it. That working yourself into the ground doesn't make you strong. It makes you vulnerable. Here's something powerful to think about. If you collapse tomorrow from exhaustion, your job would be posted online within weeks. But your health, your family, your life, those aren't replaceable. So why do so many people treat work like it's more important than everything else combined? The countries that prioritize rest aren't less successful. They're just successful in a different way. They protect human energy instead of consuming it. They understand that tired people don't build great things. Rested minds do. So let me ask you this, and I really want you to think before answering. Are you working because you're building something meaningful, or because you're scared to stop? If money wasn't an issue for one moment, would you still live the same way? Would you still be this busy? Americans work so much not because they love work, but because the system taught them that stopping is failure. And until that belief changes, exhaustion will keep being mistaken for ambition. Hard work can build a life, but overwork can destroy it. And the strongest move you can make isn't pushing harder. It's knowing when to rest. Because success isn't proven by how tired you are at the end of the day. It's proven by whether your life is actually worth waking up for. So tell me, do you think working nonstop is a sign of strength or a sign that something is deeply broken?